Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. I know it's still Easter in the States right now. It's actually Monday morning here in Alishan, Taiwan. Today I'm just going to give you a fairly short look at what's going on here with some tea processing. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show you all of the steps of the process just with the nature of live. But we can at least take a look at some of the harvesting and some of the wilting, which is going on right now. So here, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn this camera around. Here we go. So you can see they've already laid out all of these tea leaves which have been picked this morning. It's 8 a.m. here, but they've been at it since sunrise this morning. And all these tea leaves were picked. And then now they have been set out to wilt or wither. This process is super important for the tea making because the leaves need to lose a lot of the water that they have in them. So now the weather today is actually very good. There's a cloud covering the sun at the moment, but these will sit in the sun for could be up to like 2 hours to release all that water that's inside, and it's very important to do that, or else otherwise you'd end up with almost like stewed veggies if you were to try and do the process of drying and fermenting and all that stuff without this step. So this is an important part. So we're at the same farm again. What we're going to do is we're going to just go take a look down at the farm and see people picking it. Let's go. See, try not to get hit on the highway here. It'll be a little walk down, take a little hike. Hope everyone's doing well and having a good Easter. Or if a good Sunday if you're not celebrating that. So we're kind of back at the same place we were at last time I took you all into the mountains on the last tour, but this time, rather than just staying up here and talking about the leaves, we're actually going to go down into the farm. If you have any questions along the way, please ask. Today's tour is going to be very short, not terribly long. I'll try and put together some more information about the process for anyone who's interested, but today it'll be a good, 20 hours or so of work just to get from the point of harvesting to having tea. So it's going to take a long time, well into the night. Even though the boss was saying that last night he went to bed at 2 and got up at 5 this morning to keep going. Because like I mentioned before, this only happens twice a year, this harvest. So these high mountain teas don't get harvested as often as teas at lower elevations. Today they're harvesting oolong tea, Taiwan's famous Alishan oolong. Also, we're quite lucky today. The weather is very nice. The sunrise this morning was beautiful. It's not nearly as cold and wet as it was last week. So here we are at the farm. Oh, wrong way. So you can see all these leaves, all these little shrubs, the Camellia sinensis plant. These have all been picked already. They were picking last Saturday. They were picking a different variety of, or a different kind of tea called Jinshuan. And then today they're doing the high mountain oolong. So they were up here a little earlier picking when I first arrived. And now they have moved very far down this mountain. So I'm going to get a nice little hike in with you guys. The process is pretty awesome. A lot of these, most of these people down here who are picking the tea are mostly women. They have been doing it for a long time. Most of them have been doing doing this a really long time. They're very professional at it, and there are a few men as well, but it's mostly women. So what they do is they pick what's called the flush, which is just the top few leaves on this plant. So we were up here earlier harvesting right around here, and then all this area is up at the tea processing area, as you saw, all in the ground, withering and waiting for the sun to release a lot of that moisture. So now we're gonna head on down here. My mom says very nice weather. Yes, it is. It's beautiful today. It's cold. Well, cold by Taiwanese standards, I guess. I know that some of you, like shout out Riley, you know, live in Minnesota, so cold to us is definitely not cold to you, but this morning was apparently about 46 degrees Fahrenheit. I had to look up the conversion. It was about 8 degrees Celsius. Which for us, oh man, in April, that's real cold. We've had a bit of a cold snap the last few days. So we're heading on down here into the tea fields and taking a look at these women picking. So let's see if I can not fall down here. It's a bit slippery. Ugh. So all of these fields are my buddies up there. So these women got here around sunrise this morning, and now they are picking. So let's take a look. It's a gorgeous day. So we'll see if we can get a close-up as well. 你想要说 hello 吗?
Hello.
If you watched the last story, you might remember her from brewing our tea for us. She's one of the bosses here. Her and her husband own this farm. You can see here all these people. They're all down here picking tea. And like I said earlier, they're very professional at it. A lot of them have been doing it a long time. And all this tea is hand-picked. So around the world, traditionally it was hand-picked. But obviously over time, there's been some commercialization that's gone on. Different devices to try and increase the harvest speed and capacity. But here in the high mountains of Alishan, it's all hand-picked still. So what they're doing, as I explained last time, is picking just the top leaves. Like I said, the flush, which is usually about 2 or 3 leaves and a bud, and that's what turns into all these wonderful teas that we've all enjoy. Black tea, oolong tea, green tea. You can see they collect them in these baskets. And then after a while, when they're getting kind of full, they will collect it, weigh it, and then the boss will take it up and throw it out in the sun again to continue the withering. I forget if it's withering or wilting. I think it's withering. Either way, that's it. So yeah, this is a pretty special thing. I mean, like I said, it only happens twice a year here in Alishan. It's the spring harvest and the winter harvest. So yeah, these women have been at it for about 2 hours already today. They'll probably do another 4 or so. I think that yesterday the weather wasn't very good, so they weren't able to pick as much as normal. So today will be a little longer. A lot of times these women are contracted by several farms. They go to a bunch of the farms in this area. Like if we were to look up onto the mountainsides, you can see that there are tea farms. Let's see if I can show you with my finger. There are tea farms all the way up this ridge, all the way to the top, as well as here, all the way up to the top. So a lot of these farms contract the same workers to come and do this. And like I said, happens a couple times a year, so pretty cool. Sometimes they have some music playing and a lot of chatting going on, which is always fun. But yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, like I said, with the nature of live, I can't really give you a look at the whole process, as it'll take many hours to finish. But it's cool to see this. It's a very beautiful scenery with some really professional people doing their work. It's quite cool. So anyways, that's pretty much it. I don't have a lot to share today, unfortunately. I will have a lot more to share on, what is it, your Wednesday morning Pacific time. I will be taking you around Chiayi City's daily night market, or I guess I should say nightly night market. And we'll be taking a look at some of the late night foods. There are some stands that open late, like 10 p.m. and then they'll typically go till 2 or 3 in the morning. So we'll take a look at some of those restaurants with some traditional Taiwanese food. So that will be on Wednesday morning Pacific time. Barbara asks, how far up into the mountain is the farm? That's a good question. It takes me about 50 minutes to drive here. It's about, I want to say 20 or 30, I think 30 kilometers, I think. As far as elevation, this elevation here is like 1,250 meters. So what's that? 4,700 feet? Is that about right? It has to be over 1,000 meters to be qualified as high mountain oolong tea. And so that's why this area is all like this. Now, the mountain, for example, Alishan is actually a mountain range. And there's a national park, which is, I think, 60 kilometers into the mountains. So we're about halfway there right now. It is not really a peak though. It's Alishan is a name that comes from the indigenous language here, and it just means this whole range of mountains. So Sunny says super oolong tea of Alishan. That's right, world famous Taiwanese, or sometimes called Formosan, high mountain oolong tea. And thanks for the question, Barbara. Hope you're doing well. I'm wondering if I'm joining you and Katie and Eric at your dinner table again. I'm gonna take a walk back up, so you might join me for some heavy breathing here, but I'm gonna take a walk back up so we can have a little better view. By the way, you can see this right here. This is all bamboo. A little bamboo patch. Oh, Mom says I like the stone walls, and so it's these stone walls are very beautiful. They're a very special way of terraforming the land to have these little tea plantations. Lol, they're picking up dinner at Islands. Oh, well, darn. Well, I'll join you next time. All right, so we're gonna walk back up. Take a look. see them at it. It's hard work. I definitely would not be able to feel my back after after a few hours of this. But they're professionals. All right, let's go back up and we can take a look at that beautiful weather. It's surprisingly cool. Move this up a little bit. It's surprisingly cool right now. It's been nice actually. You know, normally at this time of year, mid-April, it's when it starts to get pretty hot. You know, Taiwan is a tropical / subtropical island, so during the summer it's very humid, very hot. Here's a look at those stone walls as we go up. But we keep having these like cold snaps. We had kind of a warm winter and a bit of a cool spring so far. So what weather conditions are needed for the plants to grow? What makes this a good location? Excellent questions, Barbara. So the weather conditions, it obviously needs to have enough moisture. That's a big thing. Something that's particularly important, I guess, is like not the climate, but what's the right word? Can't think of it. Anyways, tea grows in subtropical and tropical locations. So it needs to be in one of those climates. Also, high mountain teas are a little more special because not all mountains are able to accommodate the shrub, the Camellia sinensis. What makes this location particularly special is the fog. So there is a pretty much daily afternoon fog. Oh, it sounded like a backfire. There's this fog that rolls in every afternoon, usually around 1 or 2 p.m. And what it does is it shields the plants from the hot sun. So one of the things about this high elevation, right, is we're closer to the sun, and it can damage the plants. But that fog, lose my words, that fog actually shields them pretty much every day. And that's a really special thing about this area. So there are tea farms that go all the way up to 1,800 meters in elevation, some even higher, 2,000, 2,200, all the way up into these mountains. And, you know, they have to carefully pick the locations based on how much sun they get. And people even talk about, like, you know, is it a sun-facing side of the mountain or not sun-facing side for the plants to grow. But I think one of the most unique things is that fog. Not only does it shelter the plants, but it also offers moisture. Also, the soil here as well is really important. Chiayi in general has really fertile soil. A lot of agriculture here. A lot of red clay down on the plains. But apparently it's really prime for this kind of tea. And in fact, there's actually, like, I kind of briefly mentioned this last time, I'm gonna take my jacket off. There is actually, like, I was reading this biological study from 2009 when I was, like, trying to learn more about tea. And, like, common acceptance is that there's 2 varieties of the tea shrub. One is this one, which is where you get oolong tea, black tea, etc., green tea. And the other one is Assamica, so that's where you get, like, Assam tea from, like, India. They're also kind of a high mountain tea shrub. But apparently, here in Taiwan, there's a third kind. This biological study found that the DNA of the plants was dissimilar enough to count as a third variety. And it was even mentioned by the indigenous peoples of Taiwan as calling it the tea of the gods. So it was growing here wild even before people started to cultivate it. So beautiful. Yeah, it is beautiful. Hey Reed, happy Easter. Thanks, Mary. Happy Easter to you too. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So it's gorgeous. Let's see, what else did I got here? Hi everyone. Oh, humidity. Yes, humidity is super important. Definitely. Like I said, subtropical island. So actually where I'm at here in Chiayi, the Tropic of Cancer line, 23.5 degrees, runs right through the middle here. So it's a very prime area for agriculture and for growing things. So we're right on the line between tropical and subtropical. So we're gonna walk back up, see how those leaves are doing. I'll show a little bit more. There we go. She got the right idea. I'll give a little introduction to the factory, just a little bit more than I did last time. And then that might be it for today. Short one. Today I'm up here doing some filming, taking some pictures. Hopefully I can put some stuff together to show a little bit more. But like I mentioned earlier, it's gonna take all day and into the night before it's finished. Today they're making oolong tea, so it takes a bit of time. Really bad weather here. Glad it's beautiful today in your world. Well, thank you. Thank you, Aunt Margaret. I hope that the weather gets better for you. So this is a national highway here, the 18, the Alishan highway, built in 1983, I believe. And so at that time, so the master here, I like to call him the tea master, his parents lived here, even before the highway was built. And he studied to be an architect, but then kind of was really interested in tea making. And he knew with the building of this highway that there was going to be an availability of customers. So he traveled by motorcycle around Taiwan in like the late 70s to figure out how to grow tea, because tea's been grown in Taiwan for, I mean, since the 1800s or more, like cultivated for quite a while. And so he went and he learned from other people. He just apprenticed for them for no pay, came back and started his own farm. So those shrubs take 3 years before you can get your first harvest. And so he came up here, his parents lived up here, and he started this place. So here we go. We got some movement here. So look there. It's like they've wilted enough. I think it's wilted. They've wilted enough to lose a lot of that moisture, and you can smell it. It's like a really strong fragrance. Even though that wasn't very long, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, it apparently was good enough. So a lot of that moisture has come off, and now they're going to prepare to collect them and do the bruising stage. So maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll see some of that. Basically after, oh, actually, nope, they're just spreading them again. Okay, I was gonna say that seemed pretty short. A lot shorter than normal. Nope, just turning the leaves so that there's more even exposure. And when it's not like good weather, they have like a drying room upstairs. Not like with a heater or anything, but just some fans running, and it's covered with like a plexiglass roof, so it still allows light inside. So, as you can see, they're just spreading them out. Good thing it isn't windy. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think it gets very windy up here very often, to be honest. I mean, sometimes obviously typhoons and things, but I've spent a lot of time up here and never really felt that it was particularly windy. But I agree, it is a good thing. So you can see, just spreading them out. No one's wearing shoes, right? Got to keep it a little cleaner. Don't want to rip the mesh either. So all of this was just picked in about 2 hours this morning. All this tea. And obviously they'll be picking this much or more soon. It'll come up again when those baskets are full. And then, so actually I want to check to see if the tree is bearing. I don't think it's the right season, but there's a special fruit tree that they have up here, something I've never seen before. It doesn't have any fruit on it, so I can't show you, but it's called a tree tomato, and the name fits. Like, it's like almost like a cross between a plum and a tomato. It's a really strange little fruit. I've never seen it anywhere else in the world. I've never even heard of it anywhere else. And it's quite interesting. But I think it's only grown in winter, so unfortunately it's not here right now. But it's like has the look and almost texture of a tomato, but kind of like the sourness, sweetness of a plum. It's really, really weird. Okay, so these guys spread out. I'll give you a look a little in here as well. So what they do is they use this machine here. After it's all withered and wilted or whatever, I'll look up that word later, I can't remember what. But after that is finished, they use this machine which shakes. And they shake them, and which causes some bruising to happen to the leaves. And then they put it onto these bamboo mats to oxidize. So that's what makes different teas, how long you oxidize it for. So all of these bamboo racks will be full in a few hours. The longer it oxidizes, the closer it gets to black tea. So green tea is pretty much very minimally oxidized. Green tea is ready. The same day you pick it is the same day you can drink it. Oolong teas are lightly oxidized, and then black teas are fully oxidized. And that's, where the name comes from. Black tea, as it oxidizes, like an apple, it changes color. It becomes more brown. And in that process, it basically is fermenting, has enzymatic activity. Those enzymes cause that browning, but also cause a lot of what are they called? Catechins, is that the right name? Catechins change into those really nice antioxidants that we love about tea. But I'm not quite sure on all the science of that. Still learning. But it's a big part of this process. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's tour. I don't really, unfortunately, have a lot to show because I'm going to be spending all day here documenting this process. But I wanted to give you a little peek because I know that last week I was absent. So like I mentioned on my post, we had a national holiday. The government asked everyone to be extra vigilant in self-monitoring, and thanks, Mom, it's withering, thank you. We're to be extra vigilant and self-monitoring, worried about what was going on. So I just kind of laid low, but we'll do some more tours, some more interesting, I think, tours. This one is just more of like a peek into everything going on. But like I said, I'll do some late night Taiwanese food on Wednesday morning, Pacific time. And then I will also announce 2 more tours for next week. One into the wet market, because I know wet markets are very much in the news right now. I want to show, obviously not all wet markets are the same. And then I'll probably do another one to Taiwan's highest and longest suspension bridge and like a golden temple. I think that will be fun. Anyways, I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated on that. It says, air must be so breathable there. Absolutely beautiful. Yes, it is. It's really nice. I always like coming up here. It's definitely very breathable. I mean, other than all these trucks and stuff going by. But especially when you get a little higher into the mountains, or if you go to some of like the indigenous communities that are way off the beaten path, it's really, really nice for just clean, fresh air. So it's really fun. It's nice. So thanks for joining me. I know this was a shorter one than usual, but I hope that everyone is staying safe in place and staying happy. I appreciate you coming along with me. Yeah, happy Easter to those that celebrate it. Bye. Let's see.